Hey, Trinity, and all friends of Trinity. We wanted to take a moment just as a pastoral staff just to give you guys an update on our whole reopening plan. It's been important for us since day one. As we've entered this pandemic, we want to gather together, but we want to make sure that we gather together as a whole family, not neglecting certain parts of the church, but that we travel through this season together. And so with that, we've said in the beginning that our tentative plan was to meet on June 14th as a church, gather on a Sunday morning. But part of that experience would be everybody would have to wear face masks in the building. We would have to practice social distancing, and we were not allowed to do any sort of gatherings before or after the church service. And that's because the town ordinance and the state ordinance have required that for us. And since we were laying a lot of that out, we've learned a lot over the last couple of weeks about how you guys feel about meeting that way.
Yeah, as Pastor Kirk says, part of our due diligence for reopening was to actually poll all of you to get your thoughts and ideas on when you would be ready to come back and worship here together. And we thank you all for giving us that information. It's helped us to make better decisions. But part of that information was that many of you just simply aren't ready to come back on a Sunday yet. And the reasons were numerous, from families with small children. And sort of on a lighthearted note, I have to say I agree with that, because I was that small kid that you would not want to bring here. And so we understand that. It's a difficult environment for children without being able to hold children's services. Some people simply aren't ready for health reasons. Maybe there's a vulnerability there. Whatever the reason may be, they were all good and valid reasons. And there's, of course, as we said all along, there's no pressure to come back. And so we want to continue telling you that. But to make sure that, again, as Pastor Kirk said, we're all in this together on this journey and we're not leaving anybody behind, we want to provide and continue to improve our online worship services. And to do that, we have to make some enhancements to our technology. Pastor Matt, would you fill us in on what that entails?
Yeah, let me just share a few details without getting too deep in the technical jargon. But right now, the way we create our worship services for Sunday that we do online, we meet here on Saturdays actually to record them, because with the equipment we have currently, we need to record them ahead of time. It doesn't actually work to do a live service. So we're here usually for 5 or 6 hours to record that and do all the different pieces and put them together. And then it takes a couple hours of editing afterwards as well. We are doing that because the camera and the equipment we have right now, it limits us to that's what we can do. Once we all gather together, we, of course, want to be able to live stream at the same time. So some people can be worshiping right here in the building, and some people can be worshiping from home for all the reasons that Pastor David mentioned. We have ordered equipment that will allow us to be able to do that. But every other church, business, and all kinds of entities are looking for that same equipment right now, and it's a lot like toilet paper. So when we did order it, it was back-ordered. It was the best option we had. We looked around a million different places, and it's not here yet. We know when it's coming. It is on the way, but it is not here yet. As soon as it gets here, that will allow us to do worship services the way you see them now for people both in person and at home, once we can get our teams in here and train them. I'm actually, just to give you like one example of what kind of effect this has, when I finish speaking, I'll go back and sort of adjust the shot. So as we finish up, I can kind of zoom in closer on Pastor Kirk as you hear him talking. And again, this will only be one example, but it'll be one way you'll see that things would look if we tried to hold things in person with the equipment that we have right now.
Yeah, so as Matt runs back to the camera, we want to demonstrate for you guys what it might look like if we were trying to hold services in the sanctuary and do it live at the same time for people at home. This is somewhat of a picture of what it might look like when we try to transition from, say, the worship team at the wider stage to me or to someone preaching. It's, as you can tell, it's a little blurry, it's a little herky-jerky. These are what the transitions would be like, because we would not have time to edit or change any of this. It would all be happening live. And so this is the whole reason why we realized we need new equipment. and we have ordered that equipment, and it's going to be on the way. And that equipment is going to allow us to do a couple different angles to be able to switch seamlessly and smoothly from the back on a control board, a bunch of things like that. And so, as we have sought to make all of these plans about reopening, obviously we've had to take so many factors into consideration, from making sure we have enough cleaning supplies, to processes, to teams, to everything else that comes with it. And the technology is one of those variables. Well, technology is the variable right now. And so we've decided as a staff that we are not going to be meeting on June 14th as a church on Sunday morning. During phase 1 of our reopening plan as a church, we are not ready to meet on a Sunday morning because we want to make sure that all those who are going to be at home, which is most of our church at this point, have the same experience, if not better experience, to worship from at home until they are ready to come or some of these restrictions lift. We are all going to be gathered together again one day. We believe that. But not on June 14th. Instead, we want to hold a at-church only worship and prayer service on June 17th. It's a Wednesday at 6:30. So at 6:30 on Wednesday, June 17th, it's going to be a at-church only worship experience. Well, where we will still be required to wear masks, we will still be required to socially distance, we'll still be required to come in one door and exit out the other, as we have laid out for you. But this will at least be a way to gather, because trust me, I want to meet together again soon. And we figure that this is the best way that we can at least gather together. And there's so much need for prayer in our nation right now and in our lives personally. This is the best way we can gather together around our mutual love for Jesus and his gospel. And so, please, if you feel comfortable, no pressure. If you feel comfortable and you can make it on June 17th at 6:30, please join us for that. But phase 2 of reopening isn't going to be until July. We haven't specified a date yet because we have to wait and see when these cameras come in and we can get them installed and get people trained so that we can do a good job. We want to do a good job when we meet again. But we will make sure and let you know that date soon. But phase 2 will begin in July, and we will give you updates on that. But church, please hear me. We miss you. We love you. We can't wait to meet again. It pains us to continue to delay this. It definitely pains us. But we are trusting the Lord. We're seeking to honor our government leaders as he's instructed us to. And we're going to still continue to press forward in loving one another, serving our communities, and trusting that he has all of this in his hands. So be at peace. We love you. This is temporary, and we can't wait till we can see you soon.